Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Path to the Plate is a research-based education program that helps consumers understand how their food choices impact their health by making the connection to agriculture. Learning about how food is grown and produced, and how consumers can make better food choices for themselves and their families, Path to the Plate is all about dispelling myths and misconceptions. Find out more online at pathtotheplate.tamu.edu. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCCW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show, and it is a beautiful day outside. It has been gorgeous this morning. It was like, I wouldn't say cold, but it was cool enough for you want to put a little sweater on or something. Of course, that ends about 2 hours from when you wake up, but it was so nice, and it's like fall is in the air if you get up early enough that you can feel that. And it's very exciting. But, and we know that Halloween's right around the corner, right? So Governor Abbott, I think, decided to do a little, early trick-or-treating for Kamala Harris and sent 101 migrants to her front door. Not to just the city, like go downtown and drop off the migrants. He went to her front door and dropped off 101 migrants. And funny, Fox News was there when they came in, so they knew they were coming. But Kamala didn't, and neither did the Secret Service or anything. So they pull up, and all these guys get off, and one of the migrants were interviewed, and he said, "Yes, America, the border is open. It's open. It's open, and the president, he told us, come, and we're here. And here we are. And now we're waiting to see what Vice President says." And so they're standing there, and here comes the Secret Service out, like in a line, comes out and gets in front of the gate and is going like, no, you back off, everybody back off. And they started calling the churches, and the churches started coming up and getting some buses to take them to where they could go. Now, I don't know where they ended up, but they were being taken care of, so they were fine. And then Governor DeSantis took a group and flew them into the Hamptons. Now, the Hamptons, and it was so funny watching these people get off the airplane, come in, and start walking toward and going downtown and walking past the people that are there drinking their coffee. And they're like, where did all these people come from? It was only 50 people, but they were given like hotel rooms and brought food and all that. It's funny because there is a group of people that keep calling these governors human traffickers. They're calling them Nazis. They're calling them just inhumane and all that. And just like we can't handle this. It's too much for us. We want the federal government to come and help us. I went, oh, really? So we in Texas, which gets the most of the brunt of it, and all, we're not allowed to bring these guys to a bus. This bus is air conditioned, has movies running on it and all that, and they have to sign a waiver to say it's okay and they want to go. They're not doing this, not dragging them in there and throwing them in and saying, you're going to go with us. I mean, it was just, I just wish they could have had a camera in there when Kamala turned on the news. Of course, she never watched Fox News probably. But someone says, hey, we've got visitors. Were you expecting 101 immigrants? And I don't think so. So that was a pretty interesting development because Vice President Kamala Harris got on the air and just did, it was like a couple of days ago, did an interview and said when they asked her, is the border secure? You're the czar for the immigration problem we have. So is the border secure? And she said, yes, the border is secure. We have some broken, I think there's some broken things about the immigration policies, but we inherited a lot of that. And so this is what is going on. And that made Abbott really mad, I guess. And so he said, okay, all right, if you think it's secure, let me bring the border to you. So I think that's what they did. And I just wish I could be the mayor of New Hampshire and how they're going to respond to this, because everyone that they've sent them to has been sanctuary cities. So if you're going to call yourself a sanctuary city, you better be ready to sanction. And the sanctuary these guys are feeling from y'all, some of them are really good because they take them and put them in another bus and send them on down the road like they did in Chicago. And I don't know why everybody's surprised, because the administration had been flying immigrants into different places, usually about 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, and this happened, and letting them off in different cities without notice. And that's the big thing. I mean, that's what makes me mad about the whole thing, is this, it's without notice. So they're not prepared or, blindsided by it. And that you should let somebody know somebody's coming for a visit. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting way to get the morning started. Richard, how do you feel about it? If he gives me an IDC response, I don't care response, I know you care. You must care. It's affecting everything. You do care, right? Uh-oh. Here comes, the mic is up.
What are you talking about? I wasn't paying attention. I'm just kidding. Well, you eat this kind of stuff up, so it's fun for you, I guess.
Well, no, it's not that I eat the stuff up. It's just reactionary things that are fun to me to talk about, how people react to it. When they sit and say all day long that, come, bring us everyone. We want everyone. We love everyone.
Yeah, there's always, you have to look at it as, we have a border. This issue isn't happening in Canada, where the overflow of people are coming through. So clearly what's happening at the southern border is not working. So
clearly.
Yeah, so there's...
Okay, so it's clear to you it's not working. And you wouldn't call it secure.
I don't live on the border, so I have no idea.
Well,
to be honest, I have zero idea.
But you watch TV and you watch...
Yeah, but I don't believe any of that stuff. It's TV.
That's really funny that you're not taking it seriously because it's on TV. I understand.
I didn't say I'm not taking it seriously. I'm just saying I don't know.
Well, it's
I can't
overwhelming.
Put my opinion on it because I really do not know.
Well, when you talk to the people that live on the border, that their houses.
I don't know anyone that lives on the border.
Okay. If you would talk to people that live on the border, they've interviewed these people, and they go like they're teaching their children how to shoot, and they're having to protect themselves, and that everybody that a lot of these people will come up and knock on the door, and they want some food, and they want for you to do something for them.
Yeah.
That's what they're expecting. And I don't blame them totally
You're
because
generalizing it, though.
you think I'm
Yeah,
generalizing.
you're generalizing. I mean, that's probably happened a handful of times.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think every single farmer / landowner that's on the border has encountered every single day. Maybe like one farm has got that worst area because there is no border there. So
But
it's just
they
like-
have found bodies,
Yeah, I believe it. But I don't really know. I don't know. They're doing something down there. There's a lot of border patrol. There's a lot of them.
not enough,
Oh yeah.
and to try and
But whose
keep.
fault is that? No one wants to work there. I mean, it's,
Well, you understand why? Because they're overwhelmed. They're not allowed to do the stuff they need to do. We keep people out instead of and arresting them and sending them back where they came from. They're having to let them come through. They don't have enough people to process them. They don't know what their health is and all that. And so I think that was one of the calls that was made to one.
well, I think
is
it's a
it-
smart thing though. These Republican people might have a good idea. It's just thinning the herd in a sense.
Right.
So you send them to other cities because
yes.
it's like, hey, they want to work. They want to do stuff. They want to live a better life, right? That's why they're coming into the United States.
Right.
So yeah, why not just send them to other places and say like these places need help. They need more people. So yeah, let's send them there. There you go.
Well, but the deal is that we have like 2,000 coming across a day, and
Well,
and then
because if you look at the two buses like you were talking about this morning, that's not that many people.
no, not at
So,
all.
But like again, I think they're on to something. They could probably do, the United States. There's 50 states, and be like, hey, where do y'all need people? Where do you need people? And then that's where you ship them to, and then there you go. And see, I mean, I think really what the complication of the whole issue is, I think in the current form, everyone expects whoever comes over the border to stay at the border until whenever their court date or whatever the process is, and you're
Yeah.
talking multiple years. So
Right.
and that's just not going to be sufficient enough down south unless they just build like casinos and let people just hang out there,
And have some entertainment
Yeah.
while they're having to wait. I
make
think
some money and spend some money, get some money back into Texas. I mean, there's smart ways to go about it, but then again, it's like
it's so sad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're onto something. Maybe that's a good way to.
It certainly put the spotlight on what we're having to go through in just a small way. And like, if you can't handle 101, how about
They can
handling
handle 101.
2,000?
They can handle 101.
No, but they're saying we're not ready for this, and
Well, yeah, 'cause
they've
they
been
didn't
saying
tell
they're
them.
a sanctuary
That's not
city.
very nice.
Well, no, what I'm saying though is that they've been saying we're sanctuary cities, so that means people come in without calling
So
and
what they
telling you
should
they're
have
coming
done-
over.
What they should have done is said, hey, we're scheduling these people to arrive on this date. There you go. We're going to start doing this
Right.
because we need to thin this area out. We have too many people coming in, and they're all joining right here. We need to thin it out.
Well, they
And
have
then
it.
You just inform them. You don't have to tell. You don't have to ask permission. You're just like, I'm informing you.
Right.
And that was like a month ago. So like in a month, we're going to start shipping. This is what we're going to start doing. Just
Right.
so that you know. And there's really nothing like these big cities can say about it. It's like, okay, at least they let us know, because they can't go on the news like they didn't let us know. This is crazy. It's like no. I mean,
Not the way they're very upset about it, and the
Well, it's-
mayor of
it's-
New York sent down people
and
to the border.
I mean, the people coming. I mean, they don't really care. They're like, I'm glad just to be here. So it's nice to get
a free ride.
a free ride. I mean, to me, that's
Yeah,
like
sure.
that's great. Especially working in cities like that, it's a great opportunity.
Well, that's
Like,
what
if anything, the Republicans are helping
It should
them because
be
in 10
enjoying.
years they can say, "Oh, these sanctuary cities worked. Look what we did. We assimilated these people into our sanctuary cities. Now our city's wonderful now
right.
because we have more people like this."
Well, they'll never be able though to handle what we handle. It's amazing because I see them start to complain and whine and all that stuff and all these. It's only like 100 and so people that have come in, and so the mayor of New York sends down a delegation to the border to look at it and see if it's really what we're saying it is. And we haven't heard from him. I don't know what his delegation told him or not, if they actually told him what was going on. But it was, I thought that was interesting because he was ready to send down a bunch of New Yorkers to go knock doors for Beto and to help
That's fine.
Beto get elected. I mean,
I still like this idea. I like this idea of, taking the folks from the South and distribute them throughout the United States.
and bringing them up north.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
think
those
it's great.
Yankees deserve. It's
Not only does it really, I think it's not logical to keep them all in one area. It's like there's too
No.
many people.
no, that's what's so
So-
inhumane
Well, that's what I'm
is
saying.
that
There
we
you
have
go.
nothing.
I think it's solving the problem inadvertently.
Yes, and they just got to get bigger tanker, those tanker
So there you go,
airplanes,
Sydney. Everyone's
and
happy.
fill it up.
Everyone's happy.
They're not happy.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
The migrants are happy, but
I think in our political world right now, no one wants to accept, like, oh, you're right, or you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to play that game right now.
no, boy, they don't.
And then
That's
we're
so
the
true.
ones that get affected by it.
Right.
So
And
something's got to change. I mean, maybe
Right.
we should go to the Capitol and storm it.
and storm the
Maybe
Capitol.
we should do that.
Oh, boy.
I think I was reading the other day.
FBI.
What's funny to me is this
You're
whole-
going to be in the line at McDonald's,
Oh.
and there's going to be
Well,
three.
no, I was reading that so far, 800 people have been arrested and gone through the courts, and I think they actually been sentenced 800 people. And I'm thinking to myself, I remember seeing thousands and thousands of people there. So how many people? I was like, how many people can fit in the Capitol? So I was thinking there's no way 800 people could fit through that front door. So there's got to be multiple doors. I was thinking about it. So it's interesting. I'm wondering what the final total is going to be compared to how many people were actually there.
Right.
And then
But there's so many that are
This
still
guy,
in
this
jail.
guy took a stapler.
Yeah, he took a stapler, and he got put in jail for that. That's
There you go. You shouldn't have
crazy.
done it. Shouldn't have done it.
Well, this may not be as crazy, but it is causing problems within our families. There's been a lot of marital arguments.
Is this a transition? This has nothing to do with books or anything in libraries?
No,
Good.
no, we're not talking about the
Good.
books. This is about, but we will on Tuesday when, not Tuesday, Wednesday when Tiffany Nelson's going to be here, and
She's running for
she's
CISD board.
yes, and we're going to be talking about
We're going to be grilling her.
what
You want to burn books?
we're going to burn books. No,
She works for Google, I bet.
no, we're going to find out
Everything's going
what
digital.
power does the school board really have, and what can they, do.
We'll
I know they
find
can
out.
throw the
We'll find
parents
out.
out of
I mean, Conroe
meetings.
ISD's doing pretty good. From what I understand, as an overall school system, it's doing all right.
Yeah, we haven't had anything huge. They have some fights in Willis High School a couple of times,
they're
and
kids.
they, and
But people
they
are
stop
graduating.
them.
People are going to Harvard. I mean,
Yes,
people are going to school. A lot of people are going to Sam Houston, which is good.
yes.
And then a lot of people are going to Lone Star College.
Lone
which is
Star's
good.
really good. That's real good.
So, I mean, I wonder, yeah. So, I mean, I think it's doing all right. I mean, you're always going to have people at the top and people at the bottom.
True.
So,
Yes.
let's just hope we get more people at the top.
And if we don't have to pay the $15,000 out to all those losers, then we can, not
We
losers.
should. If
But-
we graduate with all A's, here's $15,000. Go to school at Lone Star Montgomery.
Let the college pay them
Let's
and
go to
reward
Lone
them
Star
for.
Montgomery.
Let the
Keep
college.
it local, Cindy.
No, let the college give them a discount of 15,000. Let them
They
do it.
It's local. They're local.
No, that's not true, and you're not letting me get to the marital
Yeah,
arguments
you
you're
get a
having.
discount if you're in Conroe, you get a discount at Lone Star Montgomery here in the Woodlands.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was
So
just
if I went there from, El Paso, I wouldn't get a discount.
I was talking more about the Ivy League schools, those the big
Does anyone really
universities.
want to go there? I feel like time passes so fast now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't want to spend 4 years sitting in a dorm room. It's like, no, I want to work and go to school at the same time, get it done, make some money.
Yes.
I feel like that's where the world's going to, because it's like I want to get in the tech world. I want to, it's like
Well, when you have
the
school that
job tracks are going so
right,
fast.
when you have a school that has the tech stuff and all that, just like you go to a school and you learn a skill,
Yeah.
and so if they start doing that so that you don't have to pay for all the math, the English and biology and all that you're not going to use anyway, but that skill that you need, then and incorporate if they need reading and
It
all
also
that.
depends on what school you go to, Cindy.
Well, yeah, but it's just that it's outrageous what they charge, and I can see why the parents try and figure out a way to lie about getting their kids into college and all that because it's ridiculous. But Sam has said,
Or you
"I'll
like the girl from Full House.
yes,
Just pay to get her in. And
Yeah, that's with all of the wealth we have.
Well,
That's right.
you know what's funny about that? It's like, I imagine being a parent is challenging to the point where you get that disillusioned where you're a famous actress, you have money,
Right.
and it's like, I want to make sure my daughter goes to Yale. Like, she has to. I love people like that. Like, they have to go to Yale
Yes.
no matter what.
That's prestige for
Well,
them.
not even that.
Yes.
It's like, we only have like 100 years. Does it really have to be like, if she doesn't go there, like, we're just gonna put her down? Like, why is it so? Why does it have to be this place? And that's one thing I really appreciate about learning from people around here in Houston, Montgomery County, and Texas. Like, a lot of people aren't choosing or being like moved towards that. It's like, no, I can work and I can go to Lone Star, I go to Sam Houston, I can go to UT or whatever. But it's like,
and you can get that. You can get that
I mean, think
education.
about how popular A&M is, and it's in College Station.
Yeah.
I mean, have you been to College Station?
No.
I mean, it's great for what it is, but
I think
it's
you
not.
drove through it.
It's not like going to UT Austin.
Oh no, no.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you're gonna go somewhere you can party.
Where you can party.
Yeah, experiment. Do all the things that people do. You're young.
Well, that's what is so bad is you're putting out all that money as a parent,
Yeah,
and
well,
then you find out all
they're
they're
all
doing
partying.
is partying,
Yeah.
and they finally get out of the being strapped down at home and go like, no.
Well, that's because you made them go to church like every day. So
Not every day. Three days a week is fine. It's no.
that's
but
one thing I really enjoyed about ACU. Is it was a
y'all had chapel.
Well, we had chapel and everything, but majority of the students were, I wouldn't call them, what's the term? Like, they were always, the parents basically controlled their social lives.
Right.
So when they get to school,
They go
they
crazy.
finally figured it out, and I was like, cool. It's just funny to watch it. Like, oh.
And you didn't, right? You didn't
Well,
partake in any
I
of
did
that.
that like at 13, so I was already kind of over it.
As Sam has said, sometimes kids have got to experience stuff so when they get older, it's like been there, done that, and they're not going to, partake in something like that. That's crazy thinking.
On certain things.
Well, so okay, let's make sure that we have all the drugs out
no,
here. So
not
that
that, but it's other things too, Cindy. It's like, imagine disappointing your parents and that feeling that you feel, and then imagine disappointing, say, like your boss. It's not going to be the same impact, but
no.
it's a feeling that you need to learn, you need to experience.
No,
And then,
I think you need to experience things like if you don't get finished what you start, you're going to get in trouble and you're going to be punished for that. What?
what?
Did you say a beating?
Yeah, you get a beating.
No, that is so wrong. No, I did spank. I did spank. My kids will say,
That's what they do at church.
or
It's
pinch,
basically a bunch of
or
spanking
that
kids.
kind. Take your kids, spanking them on the way down the aisle, out the back, and but I did do that, and and they remind me of that.
I got to the point where they didn't want me to go to church
They didn't want you to go because you were so
because
disruptive.
I was just sleeping all the time.
You slept through church.
Oh, all the time.
How old were you?
I mean, I think it was. I think it was like 12. I
Right.
was like, I'm just gonna go sleep, and then my mom's like, you gotta stay up. I'm like, all right, keep me up. And then I'm like, oh, just fall asleep.
What snacks did you bring in your purse for me to do that? That's what the churches started giving out a packet for kids, and it has a coloring book in it. It has clay. It has all kind of stuff in there.
I'll never forget. We moved and we attended a church that kept the kids separate. So like while you're at church, well, there's a church for the kids, and it's a separate building.
Right.
And I found a room that's like I guess it's like the hangout room. It has a couch, a kitchen, all that kind of stuff. So I was going there and sleep.
While you were
And
supposed to be in the
I was supposed to be
classroom,
in the classroom.
and the
then-
teachers didn't
Oh,
report
no.
you.
They never saw me. I was a church mouse. No one knew I was there. And I'll never forget, it broke up into small groups, and they came into one of the small groups, went in there, and I was passed out. Like, I was out. And they're like, oh, you want to join our small group? I was like, okay. And then they told my mother about it, because my dad was pretty involved with the church. My mother was too. And she was so embarrassed. I was like, Mom, I was tired. I'm like, you wake me up at 6 a.m., and I'm here.
But you go to sleep at 4, and so you
Yeah,
have to.
I'm tired.
Yeah, that's I hate that.
And plus, they didn't understand my logic because it's like, I go to church like every day
No,
because of chapel. So I'm like, chapel's every day. So I'm already doing it. I've filled my quota for the week.
but here's what I love about parents. Yes, you did your quota.
Is there a quota with church, Cindy?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's a quota. You should be like in a worship sense about you.
But only
Every
in
day.
church?
No, every
Only
day.
in church.
No, church isn't just
Like
for
if
Sundays.
you missed that 20-minute
No.
sermon by that pastor guy, like, are you in trouble?
You should be worshipful
Right.
every day, every hour. You should be so happy and so thankful that you're here and that you're given a second chance all the time. I don't know how many second chances you've probably burned through, but that's what God's going to do. He's going to give you a second chance. Luckily, unfortunately.
Maybe.
No, I mean,
But what else do you
promise-
want to talk about, Cindy? I know you had other
Oh,
stuff.
now you want to go on.
Well, it's
all right.
almost 2:30, Cindy.
Okay, we've got 30 minutes. So we're fine because we're going to talk about marital arguments that's been happening because of inflation and because the rising prices of groceries.
Of everything, pretty much.
Of everything.
Like,
But
buying a house is insane right now.
why do you keep interrupting me? I
Just to let
almost
you know,
finished this.
you got to give the whole spectrum to the
Oh,
folks.
well, everybody knows that inflation covers everything. And some people are denying the inflation, and then that's that's really ignorant for people to deny that there is inflation and thinking that everything's getting better.
Do you even know what inflation is, though, Cindy?
It's what is it?
Is
You
it
mean?
yeah. Do you think it's just when everything costs more?
Yeah,
Is that
it's
how?
not the process getting to there, but we spend more, and so prices go up. This administration and some of its policies have caused maybe has caused problems with our
But they've done some
energy.
great other things, though.
But see, energy, don't you think energy is like the number one thing that started a domino effect and everything else fell from
I
that?
think it was COVID.
How was it COVID?
I think everyone took off for 2 weeks.
Well, I think COVID
So you
is
know how
still.
important those 2 weeks are to the economy?
We have a lingering effect from COVID. You are so right.
I think that was the one that tipped it over.
No, I think that it was.
Or we could go into the conspiracy realm and it's like, hey, we can blame everything on COVID. This is time to make some money.
Well, they've done that.
Let's just charge for everything.
They've done that. They're
Well, like,
still doing that.
So, what's confusing to me? My buddies work at the Port of Houston.
I am never going to get to
Okay,
this
Cindy.
subject. What?
He worked at the Port of Houston. He was talking about how long the boats had to stay out there.
Yeah.
I was like, why is this any different from like before COVID? And he's like, oh, it really isn't. I'm like, so are they choosing not to dock? Are they like one of those? Are these the products that are like, oh, let's wait a couple days where we can upcharge, And he was like, he didn't really have an answer for me. I was like, so there's not like rules where.
Wait. He didn't say anything about the truckers, that there wasn't enough transportation for the cargo things that they needed to take somewhere. He didn't talk about that?
I mean, he didn't say anything like that's the reason why they're still out there. That's the sole reason why these people are parking for 3 months. Because if they were parking for 3 months, they would go somewhere else. So that's
Well, Florida invited them to come
Yeah.
come there, and they didn't. Not a lot of them took advantage of that. But I think that it's got to
weird.
be
It's weird.
energy. I know this conspiracy, but the energy and cutting off the pipeline. Day one. Okay, administration cuts off the pipeline. That was like absolutely crazy.
Well, if you think about local stuff, the decisions are kind of wacky with it. Like I think it was when the cold snap happened.
Yeah.
When we have a power plant out here.
Yes.
If you didn't know that, at Entergy has its own plant. It was off.
Right.
And then, I think it was like day 4 into the cold snap. They're like, oh, we can turn it on. And then it's like, but it's going to take 6 days to turn on. I'm like, oh, okay, that's really going to help. It's like,
How long did it take you to turn it off? That's what.
well, no, it's never on.
It was never on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Well,
it's kind of like the lake here. Like they have to gauge when they should release water. They can't just do it.
right.
So the gauge, it's like, oh, we have to be, very careful and so they just never wanted to turn it on. But then it's like it's like, hey, it's pretty cold, and it's gonna probably get colder.
Oh my word!
That's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of it's strange. There's something they probably didn't want to spend the money to turn it on. Costs like $5 million to turn it on.
Like, how long can this be cold?
Yeah.
Because we never have snow.
I was talking to a buddy who works for an energy in the grid, and he was saying that there was enough coal plants and there's another word for another plant in Texas that shouldn't have happened. But since there's restrictions on how much you can burn, like just general restrictions, not even emergency restrictions, just
Right.
general, like we can only burn so much coal a day in the state of Texas, or basically in the country, but the state has its own rules too. So there's rules like, oh, well, we can't go over this amount, so we can't turn those on. Because we go over that. It's like, well,
But
this is
it was declared an emergency.
yeah, but they still couldn't break the rules.
I thought that's what broke the rule, is that if you have an emergency, you
No, you can't
break that
it's-
rule. But have you noticed, though, through the summer, hopefully the summer's over, but during the summer, we didn't have any blackouts or any of that happen. We actually got through the summer
Yeah, now it's getting colder.
with our thermostats on 70.
Now it's we're gonna lose power. I mean, energy, you just lose power. Energy's kind of awful around here. I don't know if anyone else has that experience.
Are you saying the company
Yeah,
Entergy?
like I remember at the old studio where the power would just randomly go out.
Yes.
And it's just like,
Yes.
what happened? They're like, oh, we'll be up in 12 hours. Well, what happened? Like,
Because something in Beaumont went down,
Yeah.
and we felt it. That's what I couldn't believe, is how we're tied into so many different places, and something happens to them, we get affected by it, and they need to have their
happens.
own. Get them their own.
They're gonna be underwater. Who cares? They're gonna be turning on their lights. Right?
No, I don't think so.
So you think married couples are having a hard time?
Oh
because
boy.
of this?
Okay, now. Anyway, so there's a big article that was in the paper that's talked about married couples arguing and having problems because of inflation, because one person says you should cut out this much stuff in your groceries, and the other person says you should cut out this much stuff in the groceries, and they can't agree on that. So, do you think it is because if the husband's the one that cooks, that he should have a say on what is bought and not bought at the grocery store?
Yeah.
Well, does the husband go to the grocery store and shop for it, or does the wife? Normally it's the wife, right?
Well, it's normally who has the time, but especially with today's thing, you just order it and then deliver it to your house.
That's true. If they sat down and said,
Yeah.
let's order this and this, but
Like for a long time, Holly and I would do HEB pickup, and it's just like whoever's available to go pick it up. And typically that was her because she drove from out of Conroe into Conroe,
right,
and so HEB was right there.
right.
And I'm like, well, I could go out of my way and get it, or you can literally just take one more stoplight and go there. And
So when she comes home with things, and you think maybe overage, that things that you don't need and that you really, it just goes to waste, and you have to throw it away, and that you complain about that, right?
no, I never complained to my wife.
Oh man.
I was kidding. But I think it will, especially with the inflation stuff. Like, there's the decisions you make every day, and there's big ones and there's small ones, and inflation really causes issues for the long term ones, and for the short term, but more for the long term ones, because it's like everything's more expensive right now. So I mean, if you have, say, a truck, gas is going to cost so much more for you than like my little, Prius or whatever.
Right.
And you're like, it's really hurting my wallet, because I know all my friends who had diesel trucks. They're just like, man, like he was like, it's going to cost me X amount of dollars just to fill my tank, and I'm like, dear God, like that's like $200 something to fill
Right.
a gas tank. And I don't live that world, and I don't want to live. I don't ever want. I'll buy a Tesla. I'll spend the 40 or 90 grand. But,
63,000.
yeah. Well, no, I think especially with the groceries, I've always remembered you when you first encountered brands. Remember that? Do you remember? I don't know how big of a price difference it was when you were growing up, but like your mom always bought you, say, like this type of cereal.
Del Monte and
then you learn
yes.
there's like, there's 5 different types of this type of cereal, are brands.
Right.
And there's like the brand that just comes in a bag. There's a brand that comes in a
Right.
box. There's a brand that comes in like a shiny box. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's when you learn that, you're like, well, just get the brand in the bag. Who cares? And certain items, it does make a difference. But
Well,
there's other items.
When Sam and I first got married, and first time we went grocery shopping, I bought all the brands that my mom bought, and he goes, "Wait, this is about $1 cheaper. Why are you buying that?" It says it's better. It just tastes better. And so we got to the aisle, and we go, "Okay, now we're going to check out, and we need to watch what we're checking. How much this is going to be." And I said, "Okay, it's going to be fine. My parents do this all the time." And we check out, and it's $50. And he about had a fit. $50. That was in 1969. It was $50. And so I was just like, ugh, how can I live with you if you're not going to let me get what I want to get so I can cook? And it was just, and that causes an argument. But now these guys are saying, you're going to have to cut down on the amount of sugar you buy, the flour you buy, and the milk you buy. You don't need, we just got to make it stretch. We'll get the quart and make it stretch. And then, the kids go, wait, we have cereal every day. You need the whole gallon. You don't. So it's causing arguments. And I just wonder what kind of strife that has ever caused in your realm. But let me tell you about mine, because mine's probably, there's 5 people living in the house. So you're having to feed that many people, and so you have to shop like maybe 3-4 times a week because it goes so fast. Everything goes so fast, and drinks are everything. It's like, because it's all Coke Zero and that kind of thing. There's no sugar, but it's all those drinks that you have to buy.
All those cancer-causing chemicals.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I fed them. And water is, we drink a lot of water. So we're trying to dilute all the bad stuff. But I think that Sam gets really mad. He says, if I see anything rotting in that refrigerator, that's you can't buy that anymore. You're just not going to be able to buy that anymore. And it's like, that's not true, because, I can't help if it rots faster than the other. And that's something that was always hard for me to go, like, how do you buy something and it goes bad before you're ready to use it, and then you have to throw it away? Do you go by the cans that says sell by this time, and then do you toss it?
No, in our household, there's always a grocery store on the way home. So if we want to cook something, we know what we need. And
So you just buy it for that?
We just buy what we need. Now, my wife likes to buy like snacks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And typically when things go bad, it's mainly because our schedules, like, oh, you're gone, I'm gone. And then all of a sudden it's like 4 days later, you're like, oh, oops.
Toss it.
But
Yeah. That's true.
But also, I always said, I never buy anything like that. And that's mainly because I know we're going to waste it. Just because I know that, the schedules and everything.
Right.
She likes to have it. So I'm like, okay, well, if you want that, you want it. Go for it. You spend your money on it. I'm okay with that.
Uh-huh. You spend your money on that.
Yeah, not mine.
Wow. So
But I cook a lot. So
you do the cooking?
Yeah, I'm a majority cook.
Well, what do you cook? Like what would you make for a meal?
I'm making ribs. I'm brining some chicken. Probably today's Thursday, so I'll probably brine some chickens tomorrow and make chicken salad with it for a couple days. And then, it just kind of depends on what's going on that week. It's my brother's daughter's birthday, or my niece's birthday Saturday.
Uh-huh.
So outside of that, I'm just cooking all day. I'm gonna do a couple racks of ribs, do that, and then we're good to go. Like, my favorite thing with ribs is whatever's left over, I just chop it off, and now you have a rib sandwich.
Yes.
So, and I like smoking stuff a lot. Like, I've kind of gotten to that point where I don't even really like grilling. I just smoke it, and then I pan sear it if I need searing.
So that's a lot of hours, though, that you smoke it, right?
Yeah, but it's so easy with these.
Is it outside?
With these pellet grills, like, you don't have to it's not like a stick burning smoker. Like, you don't have to keep adding wood to it.
Okay.
You just turn it on, and you just set the temperature, and it stays at that temperature.
And then-
it's ridiculous.
Oh man, and you time it, and then
Yeah.
it just
Like for example, like when we do bacon, I'll get out my strainers, put bacon on it, put foil underneath, and I'll smoke bacon. Well, I'll smoke like 60 pieces for everybody, and then it's just like,
wow.
there you go, we got bacon for the week, and we chop it up, put it in salad, chop it up, put it over here. You know, like,
That's great.
'cause most of the time, bacon goes bad for people because they'll use like
does.
you know what I'm talking about.
Is it bad when it's slimy?
Well, I mean,
Is that saying
I mean,
it's bad?
It's questionable.
Or should you just wash the slime off and then use it?
I mean, it's gonna cook off anyway.
It's so
Whatever.
cured. It's so
I don't know. Cindy, I
But
don't
it
know.
smells
I cook
different
it all
when
at
it's
once
bad.
because I know we're gonna eat it.
okay. But
So
bacon has a smell when it's bad, right?
I hope
yeah.
so. I hope so, Cindy.
Oh.
How bad is your house smell? Because you might not be able to smell it.
No, I mean because I just know when it gets
But yeah, I would
slimy.
if I were you, if you cook, man, you would love. If you cook a lot, brining and pellet smoker is like the best thing to do. It just takes prep. That's all it is.
Are they huge? Are they like?
No, you can get small ones. The first one I purchased, I won a bowling tournament, and I got a good chunk of change. So I bought one that looks like an old Weber. It looks like a Weber. That has like a circular top, but it has a pellet feeder on it, and
What's the pellet? Are you talking about the
these little
char-
tiny wood pellets
wood pellets?
that go into this like this little machine, and it drops in the middle of the grill, and it slowly burns. And so you can raise the temperature, depending on which one you got. But I got that one, and now we have another one that's like a bigger one. I can actually put a brisket on with ribs.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
other
that's
one,
good.
Other one you can only fit like a brisket. And that's it. Like you couldn't smoke anything else.
Well, if you do all the cooking, then I guess it gives you a little power to, make a
My wife
decision.
likes to purchase those meal kits.
The meal kits.
Yeah, she loves purchasing those. We actually ate one last night.
My son Chad had started buying the fresh whatever it is, and they
Yeah.
bring it to you,
Yeah.
and he said they started eating so good lately, and it's the amount that you're supposed to eat, and that's the big deal.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
I think it's like you can get one for two people. I think it was like $64 a week. That's what you're paying for.
And it tastes.
It's all fresh.
Are you creating the?
You're creating the
are you-
meal. Like they give you a package of chicken, they give you a package of lettuce, package of this, and you're cutting all the onions. You're cutting everything.
Did they put spices in there for
No,
you, or you
they
do
give
do
you
it?
seasoning that you put on yourself.
Okay.
I mean,
That sounds
it's a
good.
good deal if you're busy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go to the grocery store for like your major meals. So
Okay. Well, no, but I think that's great. But from the beginning of time, marital arguments have always been there.
But about
And there's
money.
always been a blame. No, it's about food as well. But there's always been the blame game
well,
that's
can you
happened.
imagine marrying somebody that's born on the other side of the world?
This what?
That was born on the other side of the world. So it's
No.
like their food is completely
Yes.
different. That'd be
Oh,
wild.
I know whenever they have those taste testing things, and don't get me off the subject. I'm ready to tell you something. Because if in the beginning of time, let's go back to Adam and Eve. And so God said, you can have all of this stuff, all this, it's all yours, all this
Yeah.
fruit, the vegetable, everything's here. But this one tree you don't eat of. Because at that point,
And
you're
he
going to
never
know.
explained it. Never explained
Yes,
why.
no, yes, he did.
What did
he
he
said
say?
because at that point you will know the difference between good and evil, and this is what you don't take of that fruit because that
So
will ruin
what's
everything.
wrong with knowing the difference between good and evil?
Okay, because they were just simply innocent of all that. He took care
So
of
they were
everything.
basically like cattle.
No, they weren't cattle. He put them in charge of the cattle. So
But how would they know?
So-
They don't know what's good or bad.
anyway, the serpent comes along.
So they're eating
Let's call this
tofu?
serpent.
So they're eating tofu?
No, let's call the serpent Richard.
Like how do they know if it's good
And
or
so
not?
Richard comes along and says to Eve, come here, come here, come here.
You know why? You know why
Listen.
he went to the women first, right?
Of course, because
She's
she
the most
didn't like.
gullible?
No, because she didn't like. Well, wait, but she didn't like being considered the helpmeet, and that's what the helpmate. And so, and she felt like, I'm as good as this guy, and no, I don't think she felt that way. But I think that she was like, really, this is something that I don't understand. Why can't I have any of that fruit? And the snake saying, this is the reason why, is because you're going to be as smart as God is, because you're going to know. You will have
That's pretty cool.
knowledge of all
You have
this.
free will. Basically, it's free will.
Yeah. Well, they already had free will in their
sounds
in their
like they didn't, Cindy.
no in their parameter.
Sound like
You
they
were
did.
totally free to
Sounds like they were in a jail.
no. You were totally free to do all of this stuff.
But this one thing.
But was that not good enough
Is that
for
not
him?
free will? That's a
No.
lack of free will.
No,
I mean, you
it's
don't get a choice for
no,
it.
it's not. That's what you do with like little kids.
I mean,
if you put a border
sounds-
there,
You know why he was a
they're good.
snake? Because he cracked through the prison walls.
No, shut
Yeah,
up.
there's
no.
a little hole in the prison wall, and that's why
So
why he was a snake.
he tempted her, like, you know what? I think you take a bite and you see what it's like and then figure it out because
spit it
you're
out.
going to be smarter.
You're gonna spit
Yeah,
it
you're going to be
out.
smarter than. So here, take a bite. So she takes a bite of it and all of a sudden she realizes one, that she's naked. And the other is that
Well, she probably realized she was cold.
where,
Let's be realistic.
and she goes, "Oh, Adam,
Because she was
come here,
numb to
come here."
everything. She was basically a cow.
No. So anyway, Adam comes over
is this going?
and said, "What are you doing?" And so she says, "Here, take a bite of this." The servant says, "We're all going to be smarter." And so he takes a bite of it. And just about that time, God comes into the garden. And God said,
Because
"Hey,
he has
what?"
free will to come and go as he pleases.
He said,
unlike his
"Okay, what's up?
Unlike his
What are
cow.
y'all doing? What's going on?" And they both have now fig leaves on because they both realized they were naked. So they put,
They were cold.
No, they tried to cover themselves. And he said, what's going on? Well, what's wrong? And so Adam,
This is the worst
this story has never changed in over 3,000, 4,000 years. It's because Adam goes, "I don't know. I came up here, she made me take a bite of that fruit. And look at me now." And so it was her fault. It wasn't me. It was her. And she goes, but then wait a minute, Adam. And he just threw her under the bus. And that has never changed. I think that's so funny, is that story, which starts everything off, that the conflict between a man and a woman, it starts right there. And so that's very
Maybe.
telling about
Maybe.
who you are. And I think that it gives a lot of good information for a woman to understand what a man really is. Don't count on that guy to have your back all the time. It's just not going to happen that way. You should have obeyed God, then you'd be okay. And then you wouldn't have to have pain in birth, and you wouldn't have to have pain every month. It's just, she started it. It was her fault.
Well, it sounds to me like they just were numb
They were
to
numb.
everything.
No,
So are you telling me before they ate the apple, she still went through her cycles?
No, I think that happened. I mean, now that I don't know.
That's what I'm
I have
saying.
no
I
idea.
think you're full of it.
If she was already going through her cycle, because he said he wanted them to procreate and to let's build a family,
That's strange.
and they had Cain
Now you
and
feel
Abel.
it, so that basically tells me there's some guys out there. There's the mayor's out there.
The mayor's out there.
They just waved to you.
Oh, that was the mayor. Oh,
Yeah, there's
okay.
a picture of him outside this building.
Okay,
Jeez.
well, he wasn't standing under the picture. I
They
wouldn't.
probably want to get on the conversation.
Yeah, they
So
know more
to me,
about
that
Adam.
proves
and
that they were numb to
No.
feeling,
No, they
and
no.
so they probably ate tofu or something.
No, that's what the animals provided for them. They were able
Do you
to.
think they were eating meat? Do you think they were killing deer?
Sure.
They had bones, so they had weapons.
No, not yet.
So
no,
they
were
were strong
lying,
enough-
drying out, and then they take them and beat
They would
each other
trap
with them.
them.
No, they lived in this, and they took care of the garden. They took care of the garden and kept it.
This story has a lot
Good.
of holes in it.
And so she just succumbed to the temptation. So temptation got her, and that was the sin, and now she paid for it. And he said,
But guys
okay,
didn't.
and so
Guys didn't pay for it.
Adam, no. So Adam said, he said to Adam, okay, because you did this, and you're going to be punished as well. You're going to have to
Isn't it
work
amazing,
for a
Cindy,
living
that
now.
You're probably told this story when you were a child, and you still believe it.
Oh my word!
I'm not saying it's bad or it's wrong or it's not the right story. I'm just saying, isn't that wild?
Why do you think it's wild? It all makes sense though. And years and thousands of years later,
Well, see,
there's still
by
this
that
type
logic,
of.
we're all related. We're all incestual. That's kind of weird.
We're not incestual.
Well, you just said it. We all came from Adam and Eve, from two people.
No,
So
but-
technically,
no.
yeah, we would all be like in one way or another.
See, that was always the thing. Is like people says, like, well, are we all from Adam and Eve's family. That's it. There was nobody else on earth at that time, right? But that was the thing.
There was Carl and Sarah, the neighbors.
No, the coolest thing is when the story in the Bible about the sons of God comes down, because they like the females. These females are really beautiful, and they want to get to know them.
Are you talking about?
And this happens. What?
What are you talking about?
They were talking about the sons of God, the angels come down. They come down, and they want to be, they want to.
Is this like a power play, kind of like a Harvey Weinstein thing?
No. This is.
It's like, I'm an angel, man. You want to be an angel? You got to do certain things.
Yeah, they came down,
That's
and the
strange.
women were very beautiful, and they wanted to be a part of that human race that God was building. And so, and they created a lot of, because these guys were very big.
This is post the Garden of Eden.
What?
Just after the Garden of Eden?
This is after the Garden of Eden.
You
This
know,
happens.
So they thought they were beautiful clothed?
Yes. Yeah, they didn't say anything about that. I'm just
Well, you
talking
said
about.
they thought they were beautiful.
Yes, they found pleasure in them. Yes, they thought they were
And
beautiful.
the humans.
In the humans, yes.
Because they were clothed.
Because they were clothed. Anyway, so here they come down to earth, and
Doesn't
God
make any sense.
realizes this isn't going to work.
You guys,
So he brings them back. He brings them back because this wasn't going to work. That they want to come down and stay on earth and live as human beings. It wasn't going to work. So, but it
sounds like the apple was right.
it all makes sense whenever you sit and think about the way men are today. They haven't changed a whole lot. They just haven't changed a whole lot. And I think the women are the same
I
way.
think they're changing a whole lot today.
What? You think men have
are
changed a lot?
They're changing.
In what way?
They're changing a lot.
They're selfish.
So are women.
They think they know it all.
I think it's everyone's equal. Cindy, don't you believe that?
I think everyone's equal under the eyes of God, but I'm telling you that the way people act.
You're saying inherently selfish.
Men?
Yeah.
Yes.
No way.
Now, and maybe
No
it's not
way.
called selfish, but it's called
No way.
self-preservation.
No way.
You don't think men are
Not
selfish?
inherently.
They had to be told how to be good to the woman. They had to be told, like,
So
you
somebody's
treat
gotta
this
ra-
woman.
I think it's all how you're raised.
Well, the people that raised you, if they had these lessons, it'd have been better. It's just everybody has got this concept
I mean,
that
growing
all
up with
that
you would have been nuts.
what?
Growing up with you would have been nuts.
No, it was
My
great.
neighbor Cindy, you should hear the stuff she says. So crazy.
No, it's not. It's just this is all biblical. I'm not saying anything that's not biblical, and you don't believe in the Bible, then you're gonna think it's stupid, or you're not gonna. You'll go like,
You know what's crazy? You know what they do?
it's just a fairy tales. It's all fairy tales. It's nothing real.
They drink people's blood
No, they don't. We don't.
and they eat bodies. That's where
No.
I overheard them.
No, we don't play with snakes. We don't do that.
Yeah, overheard them.
No, don't start those kind of rumors. we've got. Let's see, Jason.
You got 2
Jason
minutes.
Nelson's
What do
going
you
to come in here.
Yeah, what's going on
the
next
tw-
week?
on the 20th. Let's see, he'll be here on Thursday of not this week but next week. Jason.
Why are you telling,
I'm
you're-
just telling you,
I know
and
you
he's
have
a
full
preacher.
lineup. You have a full lineup.
And he's a
next week.
preacher that is going to be talking about wants to be on the school board, and I love that. Now we also have
He wants to be on the
Tiffany
township.
Wilson
He wants to be on the board
on the
of this
township, yeah.
Hey, how
And-
do I know this and you don't know this?
because you corrected me a while ago because you think you know it all. You're a man. So anyway, we've got Tammy, and Tiffany. I'm get those two names mixed up. Tammy Shields from First Baptist Church on Longmire is going to be on Tuesday. And then Wednesday is Tiffany Nelson, and she's running for the CISD school board, and she'll be on that Wednesday, the 21st. And so 22nd is going to be a replay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a replay. So anyway, then I've got to go because Sam has got surgery on that day, and so I'm going to be there as a good wife, waiting and doing whatever I need to do to make sure.
Tell him
he
how
feels good.
selfish he is while he's getting cut. It's like, just remember this pain.
No.
It's because you're selfish.
But here's what I found out, ladies. If you stay married to the same guy for long enough, you can work that selfishness out of him, and all women feel like they can change the guy they marry, and then when they find out that he's not changing, it's been like 3 years, you gotta wait long enough. It's just, you gotta wait long enough, and you break them down little by little, and then they become so sweet and so submissive. It's just wonderful. Anyway, so that's what's going to happen next week. I hope you guys have a great weekend. A lot of good movies coming out, so check them out and see what's going on. And